Hi everyone, it's Erin from the Provincial Farmhouse. Today I'm doing a video for the Paint Couture creative team. I'm going to be creating a Christmas ornament using rice paper and IOD molds. For my project today, I'm going to be using this 8cm wide ornament that I had in my stash. I'm going to be priming it first with Paint Couture's 2-in-1 primer in white. I'm applying my primer with a makeup sponge so that I don't get any brush strokes. I'm going to be applying one coat, letting it dry for about an hour, then I will come back in and apply a second coat and let that dry for several hours. Next, I took out Paint Couture's Farmhouse linen chalk paint. I'm going to be applying 2 coats over the top of my primer. Because I used a white primer, that is saving me some extra coats that I might have had to have done with my chalk paint. When that was dry, I took out this ITD paper that I had in my stash. It's from a multi-pack called Christmas Time. You may still be able to find it online. I'm going to be tearing out this image in the top right-hand corner. I really love the composition of this design with the beautiful, colorful wreath around the outside, and then we've got the winter scene and Santa. This definitely gave me vintage and sort of classic Christmas vibes. I thought it was really beautiful and definitely inspired today's project. So I'm just tearing around the edges and then I'm going to see how it's fitting on the ornament, and I did end up making a couple of little tears. This just helps the rice paper to sit a bit flatter when you are dealing with a curved surface. I then took out Paint Couture's Decoupage Medium in matte. I'm going to lay down an even coat on the area where I'm going to be placing the rice paper, and then I'm going to position my rice paper in the center over the top of the wet medium. I'm then going to have to arrange the different little spots where I have torn the rice paper, sort of slipping one part underneath the other to try and get a bit of a seamless look to it. Now, this isn't going to be perfect. It is rice paper, so it will have fibers and it's not going to sit as flat as, say, a tissue paper, but this definitely helps when you do those little tears. I'm then going to add another coat over the top of the rice paper. When that was dry, I took out IOD's primitive mold. I'm using some cornstarch in the mold, and then I'm pushing some of my air dry clay into this beautiful sort of trim style design. It definitely reminds me of trim that you see on a lot of furniture pieces. I'm then going to flip the mold over and pull that back to release my casting. I'm using a quick set wood glue on the back of my clay casting to attach it to my ornament. I'm then going to start positioning it on the ornament. I did think that I was going to have it sort of continuously going around. That's why I made 2 of them. But in the end, I decided that I wanted to rearrange how the mold was sitting and leave a gap up the top so that I could add some other molds instead. I tidied up any excess glue with a wet wipe. I then took out IOD's Holly Lane mold. This is from a few releases ago, and I'm going to be working some of my air dry clay into this holly design here, and then I'm going to be casting another design. I'm creating the arrangement for the top part of the ornament, so just working out how much room I've got. I'm then going to add some of my wood glue to the back of my holly casting, and I'm going to press that down and repeat the same process for the one on the left-hand side. I then took out this little bell mold that I got from Amazon. I'm working my clay into the medium size bell design, and then I'm going to flex that mold. That helps that clay to release, and then I'm going to add some wood glue to the back of that, and that's going to go up the top in the center. I decided that for the back section I would do a few more castings from IOD's Holly Lane mold and have that be the focus, have that draping down from the top instead of putting a whole other design on the back. There's already a lot going on the front. This is going to be just a simple way of adding some interest while not overpowering the piece. I am gluing down the first holly piece, having it draping down the back, and then I cast this other one here that has the 3 holly leaves, and I'm going to be gluing that down on the top left-hand side. It was a warm day, so I let my castings dry for several hours, and then I came in with Paint Couture's Crackle Step 1, and I'm going to start applying that to the front of the ornament, but I'm just adding it around the edges, in between the rice paper that we added and the trim mold. I'm just dabbing on that Crackle Step 1. I don't want to go over the top of the details of that rice paper. I don't want to obscure any of that. I really love how that looks at the moment. I'm then going to turn it over and apply Crackle Step 1 to the back side of the ornament as well. I'm going to apply it over the entire back of the ornament. I let it dry for about 30 minutes and then it became sticky and tacky to the touch. And then I took out Paint Couture's Crackle Step 2, and I'm going to be repeating the same process as I did before, applying that Step 2 over the top of Step 1 in the exact same areas in that same dabbing and stippling motion. I let Crackle Step 2 dry for about an hour, and then I took out Paint Couture's Van Dyke Brown Glaze. I'm first applying it over the top of the castings and around the castings as well, and then I'm using a wet wipe to wipe back some of that so that it sits down in the details. I really like to do this often before I start painting. It just really gives those castings a lot of depth and dimension. I'm going to continue to add it then over the top of the trim mold and in the areas on the front of the ornament where we had that crackle mixture down. I also watered down the glaze a little bit to help it move a little bit easier, and you can see I'm using a wet wipe to dab and pull back that excess, and I'm loving how this glaze is looking sitting down in those cracks that we created. I then moved on to adding it to the back of the ornament. Again, I'm loving how this is giving those castings beautiful definition. Once that glaze was completely dry, I took out Paint Couture's Amazon Luxe Metallic, and I'm going to start applying that over the top of the holly leaves. I'm not going for full and perfect coverage here. We have that beautiful glaze down, and I'm allowing some of that to peek through. I'm also not going down the sides of each of those pieces because we have that beautiful glaze. It's giving us a lovely sort of vintage halo around those details. But I do really love this beautiful deep green metallic, and it's tying in really well with the wreath that we have down in that decoupage paper design. If I inspire you to try any of the Paint Couture products used in today's video, I would really appreciate it if you would use my affiliate link. I will put it in the description and on the screen. I just get a little thank you from Paint Couture in return. When the Amazon Luxe Metallic was dry, I took out Paint Couture's new Cardinal Red Luxe Metallic. This is the perfect Christmas red. I'm going around and adding that to the holly berries. I am going to go down the sides a little bit further on the berries just to give them a bit more shape. And I'm also going to be adding that same beautiful red to the ribbon on the bells up in the top center. Once I finished adding the Cardinal Red to the berries, I dipped my brush into the Cardinal Red again, and now I'm just dabbing on some little dots of that Cardinal Red over the top of the berries in the wreath. I really like how this makes them pop a lot more, and also it's tying in the details of the molds to the design on the decoupage paper. So this is just a really fun way to try and sort of bring those different elements together. I'm just dabbing it on carefully. If I make a mistake, because we have that decoupage medium on there, I could just wipe that back and start again. When that was dry, I applied some of Paint Couture's Bronze Luxe Metallic to the bells up the top. This is one of my favorite metallics from the range. I only had to do one coat of each of these metallics just to give you an idea of how highly pigmented they are. I am adding it to the bells, and then I'm going to move on and start adding it to the trim design that we added around the outside. So I'm going around on the top edge of the castings, and then when I'm finished with this, I will go along the edges as well, so that when you're looking at the ornament sort of front on, you can still see that beautiful bronze. I then flipped my paintbrush over and I'm using the other end to dip into the bronze, and then I'm dabbing a couple of little dots onto the wreath just to sort of make it look like maybe they're lights or bronze ornaments, again just tying the different sections together. When that bronze was completely dry, I took out Paint Couture's Crackle Step 1 again. I'm going to be using this like a glue. So I am dabbing that onto some of the areas up the top. Anywhere that I want to add some German glass glitter, I am applying that Crackle Step 1. It really is a great glue medium. I'm also going to be adding a little bit onto the houses on the center design. We'll add a tiny little bit of glitter there. And I'm also adding it in amongst the holly up the top, filling in some of those gaps. And then I'm also going to do a little bit around the edges of the holly as well. I let that Crackle Step 1 medium dry for about 30 minutes, then it became sticky and tacky. I then took out Sheer Frost German glass glitter and I started applying that to those areas where we have that medium down. And I'm doing this over the top of a plastic sheet, and I'm sort of tapping off the excess back into my container as well, but it does really stick really well over the top of that Crackle Step 1, and I just love the magic that adding this beautiful German glass glitter brings. It's just the perfect final touch really, and it's one of my favorite things to do. Now the German glass glitter does come in a variety of colors, so if this was a bit too subtle for you, you wanted to maybe come in with a red or a gold or a green, you can definitely pick those options up from the Paint Couture website. And if you're in Australia, you can grab that from my website as well, theprovincialfarmhouse.com.au. Next, I added the hanging attachment back on, and I didn't really like the way that the silver was looking. We really didn't have any silver in the project. So once I had that on and secure, I took out the Bronze Luxe Metallic, and I'm just going to go straight over the top of that plastic. Now I did end up having to do 2 coats here. I didn't worry about putting a primer down. This isn't an area that's going to be handled a lot, so I wasn't worried about it sticking. So I did my 2 coats, and then when that was completely dry, I attached a red velvet ribbon. And here's a look at our classic Christmas ornament. I love how this turned out. The Paint Couture products are perfect for your Christmas crafts. The Luxe Metallics combined with that German glass glitter and that rice paper just go perfectly. Let me know what you think of this in the comments. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure you hit that like button, comment, and share it out. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any of the videos by the Paint Couture creative team. Remember to also check out the description for links if you would like to grab any of these products. Thanks for watching, guys.